I've always been a man of few words. In my workshop, the cars do the talking for me, but the silence from Elena, my neighbor, was deafening. After Ricardo, her husband, passed away, she shut herself in her house, as if the world had lost its color. I saw her every day, sitting on the porch, staring at the horizon with an empty gaze. One day, I decided to break that silence. I brought her a cup of coffee with milk and asked, "Elena, how are you?" Her answer haunted me. "Miguel, I'm scared. Scared of everything. Of the future, of loneliness, of the secrets Ricardo took with him." In that moment, I knew I couldn't just ignore her pain. I had to help her find the voice she had lost, even if it meant digging up secrets that were better left in the past. The first time I truly saw Elena was on a cloudy morning. One of those days when the city seems suspended between Mexico and the United States, with the air still and the streets almost empty. I was finishing closing up the workshop, wiping my hands on an old rag, when I saw her standing across the street, looking at her husband's old car. It was a blue sedan, the kind that has already become part of the landscape, but for her, it seemed to carry the weight of a lifetime. Elena had always been a discreet presence in the neighborhood. She would greet with a shy nod, sometimes exchange 2 or 3 words at the market, but it never went beyond that. After Ricardo died, she became even more reserved. The neighbors whispered, said she didn't leave the house, that she lived on memories. Honestly, I never paid much attention to it. Until that day. She stood there, motionless, looking at the car as if expecting it to say something. I hesitated for a moment, but something pushed me to cross the street. Maybe it was the way she held the keys, her hands trembling, or her lost gaze, like someone looking for a way back home. I approached slowly, not wanting to startle her. "Good morning, Elena," I said, trying to sound natural, as if it were just another morning. She took a moment to respond as if my voice had come from far away. Then she turned slowly and faced me. Her eyes were red, but there was a firmness in them, a silent strength that surprised me. "Good morning, Miguel," she replied, almost in a whisper. We stood in silence for a few seconds. I didn't know what to say. What do you say to someone who has just lost everything? I looked at the car and without much thought asked, "Do you need help with the car? I can take a look if you want." She hesitated, looked at the keys, and then at me. For a moment I thought she would refuse, but then she nodded. "It hasn't started since..." Her voice failed, but she took a deep breath and continued. "Since Ricardo passed, I haven't had the courage to touch it." I took the keys from her hands, feeling the weight of that gesture. It wasn't just a broken down car. It was a piece of her life that was stored there, waiting to be fixed. I opened the door, sat in the driver's seat and tried to start it. The engine coughed but didn't catch. I looked at Elena, who was watching me silently, and smiled faintly. "I think I can fix it. If you want, you can wait in the workshop. There's fresh coffee." She hesitated again but eventually accepted. We walked to the workshop together, and for the first time I felt there was a bridge between us. It wasn't just about cars or repairs. It was about 2 strangers trying to find meaning in the midst of chaos. As I made the coffee, I realized that simple invitation had broken the ice. Elena sat in a chair near the door, looking around with shy curiosity. We sat there in silence, listening to the street noise and the smell of coffee spreading through the air. We didn't talk much, but we didn't need to. Sometimes, silence says more than any words. In that moment, I realized that maybe I also needed someone to talk to, and that, somehow her pain had found an echo in my own loneliness. After that coffee, things started to change. Elena began visiting the workshop more often. At first, they were just quick visits to check on the car, but gradually the visits became longer and the conversations deeper. I would work on her car, trying to breathe new life into that machine that seemed frozen in time, and she would be there, watching, telling stories about Ricardo. I discovered that Ricardo was a good man, a beloved teacher, a dedicated father. He and Elena had built a life together in that city, a simple life, but full of love. They met young, fell in love at first sight, and were never apart again. Ricardo was Elena's son, the light that guided her steps. And now, without him, she felt lost, like a ship adrift in a stormy sea. I listened to her stories, trying to imagine what it would be like to lose someone so important. I never had a love like that, a love that lasts a lifetime. My parents passed away when I was a child, and I grew up in foster homes, learning not to get attached to anyone. But listening to Elena, I felt a pang of envy, a longing for a love so strong, so true. While I worked on the car, Elena would help me with small things, handing me tools, cleaning parts, bringing fresh water, and slowly the trust between us grew. She started telling me things she had never told anyone, her fears, her doubts, her dreams. I found out she had always wanted to be a painter, but never had the courage to pursue that dream. Ricardo had always encouraged her, but she always felt insecure, afraid she wasn't good enough. I encouraged her to paint, to pick up the brushes and bring to life the colors she kept inside. She resisted, saying she was too old for that it was too late to start over. But I insisted, saying it's never too late to follow your dreams, that life is too short to live with regrets. One day, while I was fixing the car's carburetor, Elena asked me, "Why are you doing this, Miguel? Why are you helping me so much?" I stopped what I was doing, looked her in the eyes, and answered, "Because you need help, Elena. And because I know what it's like to feel alone." She smiled, a sad but sincere smile. And in that moment, I knew our friendship was something special, something that went beyond a simple car repair. It was a connection between two lonely souls, searching for a little light in the darkness. Besides fixing the car, I started helping Elena with other things. Grocery shopping, tending to the garden, paying bills. Small gestures that made a big difference in her life. I didn't do it out of obligation, but out of pleasure. I liked being near her, listening to her stories, seeing the smile return to her face. Slowly, Elena began to open up, letting go of her sadness and starting to live again. She started leaving the house, visiting friends, doing the things she enjoyed, and I felt happy to have been a part of that transformation. Ricardo's car was ready in a few weeks. Elena was moved to see it running again, as if Ricardo were there beside her. She thanked me with a tight hug. A hug that said more than any words. "Thank you, Miguel," she said, her eyes full of tears. "You've given me my life back," and I knew that in a way she had given me mine back too. Elena's life seemed to be getting back on track. She was happier, more active, more confident, but the calm was short-lived. One day, a different car pulled up in front of the workshop. Two people got out, Sofia, an elegant and cold woman, and Javier, a man with a suspicious gaze. They were Ricardo's relatives, come from afar to deal with inheritance matters. From the first moment I felt they didn't like me. They looked me up and down as if I were an intruder, someone who didn't belong in that world. Sofia was the most aggressive. She spoke to Elena sharply, questioning her decisions, insinuating that she wasn't capable of managing her own affairs. Javier was quieter, but his stare was even more unsettling. He seemed to be constantly analyzing me, trying to figure out my intentions. They wanted to know everything about Ricardo's will, about the debts, about the house. They wanted to control Elena's life as if she were a helpless child. I tried to stay away, but it was difficult. With each visit, the tension grew, and Elena became more and more nervous. One day, Sofia called me over to talk. She offered me money to stay away from Elena, to leave her in peace. She said I was taking advantage of her vulnerability, that I was only after the inheritance. I was furious. I was never interested in Elena's money. I only wanted to help her overcome her pain and rebuild her life. "I'm not interested in your money," I replied, my voice shaking with anger. "I only want what's best for Elena." Sophia laughed, a sarcastic laugh. "Do you really think she needs you? She has family. She has friends. She doesn't need a meddling mechanic." "Maybe she needs someone who truly cares about her," I retorted. Sophia threatened me, said she would report me to the police, that she would slander me in town. But I wasn't intimidated. I knew I was on the right side, that I was doing the right thing. After that conversation, things got worse. Sophia and Javier started pressuring Elena to sell the house, to move to a smaller place, to live with less. Elena resisted, but the pressure was immense. She didn't want to part with the house, which was the only place where she felt close to Ricardo. One day, while I was helping Elena organize Ricardo's papers, we found an old box hidden in the attic. Inside were letters, photos, and other personal items. Elena started reading the letters, and her eyes filled with tears. They were love letters, written by Ricardo when they were young. Letters that revealed a pure, sincere, eternal love. But among the letters, we found something else. A strange document with signatures and seals. Elena didn't understand what it was, but she felt it was important. I showed the document to a lawyer friend, and he explained that it was an old contract involving a large sum of money. Money that Ricardo had hidden from everyone, including Elena. The revelation of this secret shook Elena deeply. She felt betrayed, deceived. She couldn't understand why Ricardo had hidden this money from her. Didn't he trust her? Did he have other secrets? The discovery of Ricardo's secret money brought old family conflicts to the surface. Sophia and Javier became even more greedy, wanting to get their hands on the money at any cost. Elena's life became a living hell. She didn't know who to trust, who to turn to. I was by her side, trying to offer support, but I felt powerless. I didn't know how to help her resolve this situation. I only knew I had to protect her, that I couldn't let Sophia and Javier destroy her. That night, Elena called me, desperate. "Miguel, I need your help," she said, her voice choked with tears. "I don't know what to do." "I'm on my way now," I answered, without hesitation. I knew it was going to be a long night, and that Ricardo's secrets were only just beginning to be revealed. I arrived at Elena's house to find her sitting on the porch, looking at the starry sky. She seemed small, fragile, as if the weight of the world was on her shoulders. I sat next to her in silence, waiting for her to speak. "I don't know what to do, Miguel," she finally said, her voice thick with emotion. "I found out Ricardo had hidden money, and now my family is pressuring me to give it to them. I don't want this money. I don't want anything that comes from secrets and lies." "You don't have to do anything you don't want to, Elena," I replied, holding her hand. "I'm here to help you." That night, we talked for hours. Elena told me about her life with Ricardo, about the dreams they had together, about the sacrifices they made for each other. She told me about her fear of being alone, about the difficulty of starting over. And I listened, with attention and care, trying to make some sense of the confusion. The next day, I decided I had to do something. I couldn't let Elena face this situation alone. I went to talk to Isabella, my sister, who has always been very smart and intuitive. I told her everything, and she was shocked by the story. "This Sophia and Javier are opportunists," Isabella said, her voice full of indignation. "We need to help Elena get rid of them." Isabella had always been very protective of me, and now she was willing to protect Elena too. She helped me come up with a plan to find out the truth about Ricardo's money and to get Sophia and Javier out of Elena's life. Meanwhile, the news about Ricardo's secret money spread through town. Don José and Doña Maria, our neighbors, came to offer their support. They had known Elena and Ricardo for many years and knew they were honest, hard-working people. "Don't worry, Elena," Don Jose said with a firm voice. "We're going to help you face this. We won't let those opportunists fool you." Doña Maria prepared a special dinner for Elena to cheer her up and show her she wasn't alone. The food was delicious and the company even better. For the first time in a long time, Elena genuinely smiled. In addition to the neighbors, I received a visit from Carmen, an old friend of Ricardo's. She told me that Ricardo had always been a mysterious man who kept many secrets. She said he had a reason for hiding the money, and that this reason was related to an old family affair. Carmen offered to help us find the truth. She knew Ricardo like no one else and knew where to look for answers. With the help of Isabella, Don Jose, Doña Maria, and Carmen, Elena began to feel stronger and more confident. She was no longer alone. She had a whole community by her side, willing to fight for her. Together, we began to investigate Ricardo's past, looking for clues that could lead us to the hidden money and the truth behind the secrets. We discovered that Ricardo had a brother who had disappeared many years ago, taking a large sum of the family's money with him. Ricardo had always felt guilty about his brother's disappearance and had spent his life trying to repair the damage. The money he had hidden was, in fact, a way to protect the family in case something happened to him. He didn't want the money to fall into the wrong hands, to be used for nefarious purposes. With Carmen's help, we found Ricardo's brother, who was living in another city under a false identity. He told us the whole story, revealing the reasons that led him to run away and the whereabouts of the money. With the truth out in the open, Elena felt relieved. She no longer had to carry the weight of Ricardo's secrets. She could move on with a clear conscience. Sofia and Javier, upon discovering there was no money to be stolen, left town, humiliated and defeated. Elena was free, finally. That night, we celebrated the victory with a special dinner, gathering everyone who had helped us. Elena was radiant, happy to have overcome another obstacle. "I don't know what I would have done without you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "You showed me that I'm not alone, that I have friends who care about me." And I knew that our friendship was something even stronger than I had imagined. It was a bond that went beyond time and distance, a bond that would unite us forever. With Sofia and Javier out of the picture, Elena's life seemed to have entered a new phase of tranquility. The house was in order, the debts were under control, and the truth about Ricardo's hidden money had finally come to light. However, the peace was only superficial. The revelation of Ricardo's secrets had left deep scars on Elena, questions that tormented her day and night. She felt torn between the image of the loving and dedicated husband she had known for decades and the mysterious man who kept secrets and lies. The trust she had placed in Ricardo had been shaken, and she wondered if she ever really knew him. One evening, Elena called me to talk. She was sitting on the porch with a distant look, as if lost in her thoughts. "Miguel, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice hesitant. "I found out something about Ricardo that has deeply disturbed me." She told me that while going through Ricardo's belongings, she found an old diary hidden in a secret compartment of his desk. The diary contained accounts of an extramarital affair Ricardo had maintained for years with a woman named Carmen. The revelation shocked me. Carmen was the same woman who had helped us uncover the truth about the hidden money. The same woman who claimed to be Ricardo's friend. Elena was devastated. She felt betrayed, humiliated, deceived. She couldn't believe that Ricardo, the man she loved and admired, had been capable of such a betrayal. "I don't know what to do, Miguel," she said, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know if I can forgive him, I tried to calm her, saying that we all make mistakes, that Ricardo was already gone and that there was no point in dwelling on the past. But Elena was adamant. She needed answers. She needed to understand why Ricardo had done this. We decided to confront Carmen. We arranged to meet at a cafe in town and questioned her about the affair with Ricardo. Carmen, at first, denied everything, but eventually confessed the truth. She told us that she had fallen in love with Ricardo when they were young, but he had chosen Elena. They remained friends, but the passion had never completely faded. One day, Ricardo gave in to temptation, and they had an affair that lasted a few years. Carmen said she deeply regretted what she had done and that she never wanted to hurt Elena. She told us that Ricardo also felt guilty and had ended the affair to devote himself to his family. Carmen's revelation brought even more pain to Elena. She felt deceived by everyone, by Ricardo, by Carmen, by herself. She couldn't understand how she'd been sun-blind, how she hadn't noticed what was happening. That night, Elena asked me to leave her alone. She needed time to process everything that had happened. I left her at her house with a heavy heart, knowing she was facing the biggest battle of her life. In the following days, Elena isolated herself from the world. She didn't answer the phone, didn't open the door, didn't talk to anyone. I was worried about her, but I respected her silence. I knew she needed time to heal. One day I received a message from Elena. She asked me to meet her at Ricardo's house. I arrived to find her in the garden, sitting on a bench looking at the flowers. She seemed calmer, more serene. "Miguel, I need to tell you something," she said, her voice firm. "I've decided I'm going to forgive Ricardo." I was surprised by her decision. I didn't expect her to be able to forgive such a great betrayal. "How did you manage to do that, Elena?" I asked. "I realized I can't let the past hold me prisoner," she replied. "Ricardo made a mistake, but he also loved me and made me happy for many years. I can't let that one mistake erase all the good we had together." Elena told me she had decided to move forward, to honor Ricardo's memory and to build a new life. She said she couldn't change the past, but she could choose the future. In that moment, I admired Elena's strength and courage. She had faced the truth head-on and had chosen forgiveness. She had decided not to be brought down by the pain and to move forward with her head held high. I knew Elena's journey wasn't over yet, but I was sure she would be able to overcome any obstacle. She was a strong, resilient woman, and she had my unconditional support. Together, we would build a new future, a future full of hope and love. With the decision to forgive Ricardo, Elena began to free herself from the weight of the past. It was not an easy process. It required a lot of reflection, self-awareness, and above all, courage. She began to revisit memories, no longer with bitterness, but with the intention of re-signifying her story. One of the first things Elena did was to seek out Carmen. She needed to understand the other woman's perspective, to hear her side of the story, and perhaps find some comfort amidst the pain. The meeting was tense, charged with emotion, but in the end, they both managed to understand each other. Carmen expressed her regret and asked Elena for forgiveness. She acknowledged that she had made a mistake and had never wanted to cause so much suffering. Elena, in turn, listened attentively and, surprisingly, offered her forgiveness. "I can't change the past, Carmen," Elena said, her voice choked with emotion. "But I can choose the future, and I choose to forgive you." Elena's gesture surprised Carmen, who felt relieved and grateful. The two women embraced, sealing a pact of peace and understanding. From that day on, they became friends, sharing their pains and joys, learning from each other. Besides Carmen, Elena also sought out other friends and relatives of Ricardo. She wanted to know more about his past, about the secrets he had kept. She wanted to understand the man she had loved for so many years. She discovered that Ricardo was a complex man, full of contradictions, but also a good, generous man, loved by all. She discovered that he had made mistakes, but that he had always strived to be a better person. Over time, Helena began to piece together the puzzle, understanding Ricardo's story in its entirety. She came to accept his past, with its mistakes and successes, and to value the love they had shared. Accepting the past allowed Elena to break free from the shackles of pain and guilt. She began to focus on the present, to live in the now, to enjoy every moment. She returned to painting, to her pottery, to doing the things she loved. She also grew closer to me, Miguel. Our friendship strengthened, deepened. We began to share our dreams, our fears, our joys. I discovered that Elena was an incredible woman, strong, intelligent, sensitive, a woman who deserved to be happy. One day, Elena invited me to her house for dinner. She prepared a delicious feast with all of Ricardo's favorite dishes. During dinner, she told me about her plans for the future. "I've decided I'm going to turn the house into a cultural center," she said, her eyes shining. "I want to offer classes in painting, pottery, music, dance. I want to create a space where people can express themselves, connect, and feel happy." I was moved by Elena's idea. It was an ambitious project, but I knew she was capable of achieving it. She had the energy, the passion, and the determination needed to turn her dream into reality. "I'll help you, Elena," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'll help you build this cultural center." Elena smiled, a radiant smile that lit up the entire room. "Thank you, Miguel," she said. "You're the best friend I could ever have." That night, I felt that our friendship had transformed into something more. It wasn't romantic love, but something even deeper, stronger, more lasting. It was a connection of souls, a bond that would unite us forever. With the decision to turn the house into a cultural center, Elena gave her life a new purpose. The energy that was once consumed by grief and pain was now channeled into a project that would bring joy and hope to the community. The renovation of the house began at a brisk pace. Elena hired an architect to design the spaces, a contractor to carry out the work, and a decorator to add a special touch to the environment. I, Miguel, offered to help with the manual labor like painting, gardening, and small repairs. Isabella, my sister, also got involved in the project. She was an excellent organizer and took care of all the bureaucratic aspects like licenses, permits, and contracts. Don Jose and Doña Maria, our neighbors, helped us promote the cultural center, putting up posters around town and talking to the residents. Carmen, Ricardo's former lover, also became a great ally. She was a talented artist and offered to teach painting classes at the cultural center. Her presence was a symbol of forgiveness and reconciliation, showing that it was possible to overcome the past and build a better future. The renovation was hard work, but also very rewarding. Every day, we saw the cultural center taking shape, becoming a welcoming and inspiring place. Elena was radiant, full of energy and enthusiasm. One day, while we were working in the garden, Elena showed me a small ceramic pot she had made. It was a simple pot, but full of beauty and meaning. "I made this pot for you, Miguel," she said, her eyes shining. "It's a symbol of our friendship, a reminder that we'll always be together, no matter what happens." I was moved by Elena's gift. It was a simple gesture, but it said so much about how we felt about each other. I took the pot in my hands and admired it fondly. "It's beautiful, Elena," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "I'll keep it forever." I placed the pot in a special place in my workshop, so I could see it every day. It reminded me of Elena's strength, her ability to overcome pain and build a new future. With the renovation almost complete, Helena began to promote the cultural center to the community. She organized a launch event with music, dance, food, and lots of joy. The event was a success, and many people signed up for the classes. On the day of the cultural center's inauguration, Helena was radiant. She wore a colorful dress that enhanced her beauty and her joy. She greeted the guests with a smile, showing everyone her new life project. During the event, Helena gave an emotional speech, telling her story and thanking everyone who helped her realize her dream. She spoke about the importance of art, culture, and community, and invited everyone to join her on this new journey. The cultural center became an instant success. The classes were always full, and the events were always lively and fun. Helena had found a new purpose in life, and she was making a difference in the community. I, Miguel, felt proud to have been a part of this story. I had helped Helena overcome her pain, build a new future, and find happiness. Our friendship was a symbol of hope, showing that it was possible to start over, no matter what happened. That night, as we watched the stars, Helena said to me, "Thank you, Miguel. You showed me that life can be beautiful, even after the pain." "You showed me the same, Helena," I replied. The years went by, and Helena's cultural center became a landmark in the city, a place where art, culture, and community met, creating a welcoming and inspiring environment. The classes in painting, pottery, music, and dance attracted people of all ages and backgrounds, united by the desire to express their creativity and share their stories. Helena became a beloved and respected figure in the community. Her story of overcoming adversity inspired everyone, showing that it was possible to start over no matter how difficult the situation. She continued to paint, to create, to reinvent herself, always seeking new ways to express her art. I, Miguel, remained by Helena's side, supporting her in all her projects. Our friendship grew even stronger over time, becoming an unbreakable bond. We were like siblings, confidants, life partners. The workshop was still running, but I spent more and more time at the cultural center, helping Helena with manual labor and participating in the activities. I discovered that I also had a talent for art, and I started taking pottery classes with Helena. Isabella got married and had children, but she never stopped visiting us and helping with the cultural center. Don Jose and Doña Maria became like parents to us, giving us advice, offering support, and loving us as if we were their own family. Carmen continued to teach painting at the cultural center and became a great friend of Helena's. The two women had overcome the past and built a relationship of respect and admiration. Ricardo, though absent, remained present in our lives. His memory was honored in every corner of the cultural center, in every smile, in every hug. He had taught us to love, to forgive, and to move forward no matter what happened. One day, Helena called me to talk. She was sitting on the porch, looking at the starry sky, as she so often did. "Miguel, I want to thank you for everything you've done for me," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "You saved me from loneliness. You showed me that life can be beautiful, even after the pain." "You saved me too, Helena," I replied. "You showed me what true love, sincere friendship, and the importance of following our dreams are." Helena smiled, a radiant smile that lit up the entire room. "We are a family, Miguel," she said, "and our family is forever." In that moment, I felt a deep peace, a sense of fulfillment I had never experienced before. I knew I had found my place in the world, alongside the people I loved. I looked up at the starry sky and thanked Ricardo for bringing us together. He was gone, but his love continued to guide us, to inspire us, to give us the strength to move forward. And together, Helena and I contemplated the future, full of hope and love, knowing that our story was just the beginning of a new journey, a journey of friendship, of overcoming, of art, and of love, a journey that would unite us forever.